Hi, this is Danish and today we are going to talk about the Yamaha YZF R15S long-term review. So let me start out with talking about the specs of this bike. So this is a 150cc single-cylinder liquid-cooled petrol engine with 6 gears, no ABS, a red line of 10,500 RPM with the peak power output at 17 horsepower at 8,500 RPM and the peak torque at 15 Newton meters at 7,500 RPM. Now that does look high in comparison to all the other bikes, but with the red line of 10,500 it's more than acceptable to have the power kicking in so high. And the bike weighs around 140 kilograms and a 12-liter fuel tank with 2 liters of reserve, where it starts pinging you saying that fuel low. So it gives me an effective range of about 500 kilometers on a full tank. So when this bike was launched, it was launched in 3 colorways: the red and white, which I have right here, the green and black, and the blue/white. And it was priced at about 1.5 lakh rupees, and this was pretty high and a premium price point for a 150cc motorbike. And the only competitor it had in this premium price segment was the CBR 150R, but even that was a bit higher than this and with a lot less features. And the power output specifically at 17 horsepower was also a lot higher than the competition that was putting out, and all the other competitors were actually giving out the same power output with 180cc motorbikes like the Apache RTR 180 or the Pulsar 180. So they had to add 30 more cc's of capacity to the engine to get out this power, which talks a lot more about how great this engine was built and designed and also reliable. Let's just go through all the other factors that go in as this bike is. Talking about fuel economy, in the 13,000 kilometers that I've ridden by now, I have logged the fuel filling from 0 to 10,000 kilometers, and I have had the worst fuel economy that was around 35 kilometers per liter, and the best was around 50 kmpl. And normally I get around 40 to 45, which is pretty good for 150cc sports bike that can push 100 in 4th gear. So talking about gearing, I could hit 45 in 1st, 65 in 2nd, 85 in 3rd, and 100 and something in 4th. And with the top speed of 146 kmph in ideal scenarios, it's pretty good for a 150cc bike. Theoretically, you can't really max out this bike on any of the city roads of Bangalore or anywhere in India, but wink wink, a few people have touched it, including me, and yeah, disclaimer, do not try this at home. To counteract that amount of speed, you need to have good braking performance as well. So here the front disc is a 267mm disc at the front and a 220mm disc at the rear. Both have pretty good bite, especially the front, which is really gives you a lot of feedback when you're braking, and it's really sharp and sometimes a bit too sharp, and sometimes it can catch out new riders. This is probably the same scenario in all the R15 series, where it is very sharply designed on the front brake, so you have to be really careful on how you take care of braking on your bike. So now you have the performance to push 140 and the braking to bring you down. But the important thing here is the thing that connects the bike to the road. So this is the tires that can handle both of these loads. So the front was a 90/80 cross section and the rear was 130/70 cross section, both MRF Nilo grips, which I did upgrade to 140/70 at the rear with Pirelli Angel CT model at around 11,500 RPM, and hopefully this will last me another 10,000 kilometers. And I did this for 2 reasons. Number 1, increased surface contact patch for the tire. Number 2, better grip. Number 3, better braking performance. And number 4, I get a bit more agility as well. And hopefully going from MRF to Pirelli would give you a bit more performance and oomph, or at least the feel of it as it bites the road a lot harder. And then coming to the ground clearance, it is at 160mm, which isn't quite a lot, but just enough that it doesn't scrape everywhere. I do get the occasional scrape here and there, but that's pretty normal when I'm loaded with 2 people on the bike. But the other drawback here is it doesn't come with a center stand by default, and there is a hole on the chassis at the bottom to accommodate a center stand, and service centers do use it to prop up the bike and service it. But if you go and get it fixed yourself as an aftermarket option, it does reduce the ground clearance a lot and it scrapes everywhere. So I haven't gone for that option at all, and I'm sticking to the side stand, which is pretty good. Now after the specs, let's just talk about the things I love and I hate about the bike. So things I love: number one, the speed. Just seeing the tacho go from 1500 rpm idle to 10,500 rpm seamlessly and just beautifully, it just pulls and pulls and pulls, and it's just fun to keep flicking through the gears and just going and pushing a bit. The second is the exhaust note, which is pretty good. It isn't linear, so it is silent when you're in city riding and just a little burble, but when you start ripping it through, it just screams and it's just beautiful. And consequently, you guys have heard this bike's sound signature a few times already, because that is the sound that I've used in the intro of all of my videos on this channel, and I'm gonna play that sound clip again. And also when you roll it off the throttle also, it gives a good burble and just a good noise, and it's just so much fun for me to just rip it to 10,000 rpm and just let it go and just let the engine braking and all of that make its sound signature just so pure and just beautiful for me. The next thing I love about this bike is the rock solid stability. So if you're sitting at 120 kilometers an hour in 6th gear, it's just so stable and smooth, and really a refined engine which doesn't put out any vibrations that is unnecessary, unless you're at red line, which it obviously will give you vibrations. But at 120 in 6th gear, just cruising through the highway, it's just smooth and fun, and I don't even have to have both hands on the handlebar, frankly, because it's just that planted. And also it also helps to have a comfy seat, and this is a flat seat and it is pretty comfy for both the rider and the pillion as well. And it is one of the few reasons that I went for this bike rather than the R15 V2, which had the split seat with the second seat at the first floor of the building, which is not the best way to carry relatives and family on it. For girlfriends it's good enough, but for everybody else it's not a really feasible seating solution. And even though I'm 5'10", I don't have any back aches that people have complained with the R15 series, and I do also like the committed posture. I do also like to grip the tank with my thighs and control the bike with the body weight, which is a lot more better than forcing your hands and shoulders to do most of the work, which is how you should sit, which is also another video that I'll be making about how to sit properly on the bike and how to control it properly. So get subscribed to my channel for that. The next thing I love about this bike is the analog tachometer. So just seeing the needle going from the bottom all the way more than 180 degrees to the red line is just beautiful to see, and especially when you're in the daylight and you find a sort of underpass and you just switch on the pilot lights just so the tacho glows, and you just pull through the underpass and it's going all the way to the red line. It's just fun to watch and beautiful. The next outside feature that I love about this bike is the split headlight design and its aggressively pointed nose. It's pretty menacing angle to look at, and the two headlights give it a bit more of a presence, especially when the high beams is on and both lights are lit. It looks good. Damn, it looks good. And the other thing I love about this bike is it's a faired motorcycle, which I do have a soft spot for. Compared to naked bikes, I would always go for a faired motorcycle. It's just how I work, it's just how my mind works. The next thing I love is the reliability, and I haven't had any major issue with this bike. All the spare parts that have been changed were from regular wear and tear and regular maintenance cycles. Also, the mirrors are pretty wide and give me good viewing angle for all of the road behind me. It doesn't give me a lot of blind spots, and I don't have to rotate my head 180 degrees to look at what traffic is coming behind me, so I can change lanes or do whatever. I can just use the mirrors, and this is a big advantage of having mirrors instead of removing them on everything, which people do, and I have highlighted such people in this playlist up here. Go check it out. And also, it's so easy to flick this bike and just weave through traffic and just needle the thread in mid to high level traffic and just have fun. And I have so much fun while I'm riding this bike in traffic because I can thread myself through, even though it is a pretty wide bike, which I'll come to in the height section. So when I come to the height section, again comes the width, because the mirrors are the widest part of the bike, so I have to give special gap to make sure the mirrors fit through the gap that I'm pushing this and weaving through. Even though the body is pretty slim, the mirrors stick out a bit farther than even the handlebars, so sometimes that annoys me a bit. Not a lot, just something I need to talk about. Number 2, no ABS, which is pretty standard now on all bikes, but I'm glad it didn't have ABS, because as my first personal bike that I've owned for a long time, it's great that I learned how to ride without ABS and without any of the assists that modern bikes have. Another small nitpick is there is no clock on the dashboard, so I can't see the time of day, which is pretty common nowadays in all of the bikes. But yeah, it doesn't have that. It's another feature that is missing, but it's okay. The biggest obstacle for me here with this bike is the light spread or the throw of the headlights. Even though the headlights look good from the outside, the reflector design is not the best, so I do lose out on the proper spread of the low beam and the high beam. So either you have to choose to go to a higher wattage bulb to get a bit more spread, or you have to switch to LEDs, which I have tried both, and there's a video coming up on that as well. And that's it, I guess. There are not much nitpicks, and I have had this serviced regularly, and all of them at Yamaha service centers. I haven't had any issues, no warranty claims. All the maintenance were for regular wear and tear, like the fluids, the brake pads, and all of that. I do have one small issue that I'm facing, that is the alternator is dying on me and it isn't recharging the battery as much as it should be, but that's more my fault because I've messed with the wiring, and I have slowly starting to remedy that. And then after I have my setup completely bang on and under the load that the alternator should put out, then I'll get it replaced and the bike will be perfect. And the final conclusion answer here is, would I buy this bike again? If there was an R15 V3S variant, I would go for it, but alas, there isn't one. And even the original R15S is not on sale anymore, so I'm a loss for no my motorcycles. But I don't want to shift to anywhere right now because I like my bike and I'm still exploring the limits of it and exploring the limits of mine. I'm learning new techniques with it, and until I have mastered this bike, I don't think I need to upgrade anytime soon. So I guess that's the end of this video. It was a pretty fun thing remembering the bike from all the time 5 years ago that I've been riding, and how much I've improved from day one, from learning how to brake properly, how to trial brake, how to push when you can, how to not push unnecessarily, feeling the bike's grip limits, tinkering with the bike's electricals, tinkering with everything else, learning how to open up the bike, learning how to do DIY, and it's just an enormous experience of learning from day one, and it's just so much fun. And I still have to learn so much more about this bike, and I'm still learning how to go through and fix it all. So I guess that's the end of this video. Hope you like this video. Give this video a like if you did. Get subscribed to my channel and ring the bell icon for receiving notifications of more of my videos. Comment down below if I missed anything, or you want to ask me questions about the bike and about all these niggles and everything that I've had, and I'll try to help you out if you have the same bike. And follow me on my social media channels, which will be linked in the description below, because I share a lot of fun stuff there as well. And ride safe, wear a helmet, and stay home, stay safe. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.